Hello, I'm Alexandra Coghlan, Glyndebourne's opera content specialist, and I'm here to tell you a little more about our brand new Poulenc double bill of Les Mamelles de Tirésias and La Voix, humaine. Described by Poulenc himself as the work that is dearest to me, Tirésias is one of the composer's greatest and most contradictory pieces, a riotous comic opera whose giddy, surreal charm conceals a surprisingly serious message. An exercise in high-spirited topsy-turvydom, Tirésias combines laughter with lyricism, satire with tenderness, all set to a chameleon score that's Broadway 1 minute and sober contemplation the next. Thérèse is frustrated with her life as a woman and housewife, so she lets her balloon breasts fly freely away and transforms herself into a man, Tirésias, leaving her husband with the responsibility of baby-making. He applies himself seriously to his new role and produces an astonishing 40,049 babies in one day. Eventually Thérèse Tirésias returns, and the couple are happily reconciled in domestic bliss. It would be impossible to imagine a greater contrast than La Voix, humaine, a concise, devastating portrait of love on the brink of despair, possibly even suicide. In many ways, this one-woman show feels closer to cinema or theatre than traditional opera. An overwhelmingly powerful, intimate drama that puts a woman's voice and emotions front and centre, it still feels incredibly modern and painfully real. The curtain rises on a woman, Elle, alone in her apartment, stretched out on her bed like the scene of a murder. The phone rings, and after several wrong connections, finally she hears the voice of her ex on the line. Gradually we learn details of their relationship and their recent breakup. Elle blames herself, but when she realises that he's speaking to her from his new girlfriend's house, it's the final straw. She slowly winds the cord of the phone around her neck and, telling him repeatedly that she loves him, drops the receiver. So can I start by asking, a solo opera is quite a rare, quite an extraordinary thing. Can you talk me through the challenges of that from a performer's perspective?
As a one-woman opera, I would say we are never alone, because that's the good thing in opera, because we have the orchestra, we have all the team around, and it's not because I'm just alone on stage, I have this feeling, no. We are always surrounded about the team, and also, I have someone on the phone, fortunately, or my mind is strong enough to think I have someone on the phone, and that's why. And I would say, in Glyndebourne, the stage is so close, the public is so close. It's like I'm inviting my good friends to my private life. Private life, of course, it's not, but it's this way, because it's so modern, this subject. So it could be as a meeting. Can we talk all together about this situation and having something nice and comfort with comfort.
And this isn't just any one-woman show, is it? I mean, it's a kind of story that really demands that you dig incredibly deep emotionally.
Of course, but that's why we are on stage. We want to go that far. We want to, I would prefer to avoid this in real life, because it's something so modern, it's something real, something with resonance, personal resonance on everybody. And I think that's the main thing on this score and on this text, because it's very sincere and personal, and that's the best thing on this.
The success of Poulenc's first full-length opera, Les Dialogues des Carmélites, soon led to demands for a follow-up. It was his publisher who suggested that the composer adapt Jean Cocteau's 1928 monodrama into an opera, viewing it potentially as a high-profile star vehicle for Maria Callas. But in the end, the composer preferred to work with soprano Denise Duval, who helped him adapt Cocteau's text into a libretto. La Voix, humaine would become a deeply personal project for Poulenc, a musical confession extracted under often painful circumstances, as Duval describes. I watched Francis Poulenc writing it for me with his flesh, but also with my wounded heart, for we were both at that time going through an emotional crisis. We wept together, and La Voix humaine was a chronicle of our torment. Poulenc spent the majority of World War II within German-occupied France. After a brief period in the French army, he continued to compose, defying Nazi forces in passionate works of protest. But Tirésias was something else. Adapted from Apollinel's 1903 play, a work for which the term surrealist was originally coined, this one-act opéra bouffe addresses serious questions of post-war gender roles and repopulation, but with the lightest of touches. It's an opera that delights in wrong-footing its audience, playing games with genre, style and tone. But for all its exuberance and humour, Tirésias raises some significant themes. The title itself is taken from classical mythology. Tirésias was the blind seer whose life was lived as both a man and a woman. The issues of sexuality, gender and trans identity that the opera raises are well ahead of their time, but land with new resonance today, as Le Gateau Chocolat explains.
Gender is a construct, and if we've constructed it, if we've had agency in constructing it, then we could have agency in deconstructing it. I think is very much based on the media and what we watch and what we see. And it's so interesting that people go, that doesn't work, when we are the ones who've created a societal handshake that goes, that is how it should work. So we can absolutely explode the myth about what gender is. I think that we should embrace the possibility to do whatever the hell we want, because that is the unbridled beauty of our imagination. And we can do it in art, we can do it in opera, we can do it in musical theatre, we can do it in any, in any vehicle we choose, because we're the authors of how it all works.
So this is an opera from 1947, a totally different world. And we're being asked to look at ideas of gender and gender swapping very much in the context of comedy, of absurdism. We're watching a woman on stage transforming her breasts into balloons and letting them fly away. We're being asked to laugh at this. But this is 2022, should we really still be laughing?
I think the element that's really interesting there is the agency of the woman to go, I'm not going to be a woman anymore. I am actually going to inhabit this space, and I have the agency in doing that. And I think that if the woman is controlling the laugh, there's the opposite. There are two distinct things that are happening here, and it all depends on the direction and the dramaturgical decision. Either the woman is the court jester, and she's going, I control this laugh. I have agency in turning my boobs into this, and I'm going to play it as comedy. Or she is being designed so that she has no agency and we laugh at her as opposed to with her. So I think the latter, laughing at her, for me would be incredibly problematic, because I think the conversations we're having now about women's safety and the identity of women and the definition of women, I don't think that furthers or helps the conversation in any way. However, I think that the absurdism and the surrealism, because opera can do that, is available if the woman is centered as having agency to actually provoke the laugh. She's like, you can laugh now, and the minute later she goes, okay, I'm done with the laugh, let's move on. That to me would be incredibly interesting.
Laurent Pelly, whose Ravel double bill for Glyndebourne has been described as pure magic, returns to direct Poulenc's 2 one-act operas. He joins conductor Robin Ticciati and 2 outstanding casts. From comedy to tragedy, Broadway spectacle to absolute intimacy, this double bill really does have it all. This is opera in all its moods, and we do hope you can share the experience with us.